But I ignored the snow as well, finished working on their feet, and called the dogs up as soon as I'd finished. I had in mind finishing the run, making some kind of loop, 80 or 90 miles, and getting done with it and back into camp and comfort where I could sew a new band for the headlamp, or the goddamn headlamp as I was beginning to think of it. And I had, in my misdirected focusing on my own small problem, completely forgotten some of the basic tenets of running dogs. The most important: your home is where you are with the team, the sled. You cannot outrun weather. Or, as I heard one musher say, you've got to dance even when the music sucks. The music was souring, the wind was increasing exponentially. It had lacked purpose for a time, wallowed this way and that, but now it had direction and some force. And the sleet had increased as well. Not completely obscuring vision yet, I could still see the team pretty well in the yellow-white spot of the headlamp, but definitely more than it had been. Another warning sign. And still I ignored it, and worse, far worse, by ignoring it, I did things to compound the error. I went through a tight stand of dense spruce. They were set thickly and blocked the wind completely, and some of them were dead and would make wonderful firewood. I could have stopped there and tipped the sled and pulled a tarp over the top to make a nearly perfect shelter. Could have made a fire at the mouth with wood enough to last a week, all within easy reach. Could have laid out a foam pad, pulled a few dogs inside with me, and ridden out the storm in complete comfort. I had 4 cans of beef stew and 45 pounds of meat for the dogs, and we could have lived well even with the storm rationing. Could have. Instead, my head was getting pinched, and I passed through the trees without noticing them, or at least without thinking of what they could mean to me and to the dogs. Shelter, warmth, hope, life. At the end of the stand of spruce, the trail left timberline and headed into the snowfields of the high country. In truth, there wasn't much of a trail, more just a line, or more often no mark at all in the snow, and I was depending on the lead dog, a tiny female named Dewberry, to find the way. She was good at it, sometimes going by feel as she trotted, quick and alert, her little black and white form tugging out front like a beacon. Just as the trail left the trees, it moved into a shallow depression and went along the side of the mountain for 2 miles or so, angled so that I had to stand on one runner and pull the sled over at an angle to keep it from sliding down the mountain. This put my parka back to the wind, and that, coupled with being in the depression and having the headache, made me not notice further warnings. The wind was much stronger now, straight in line and with no eddies, getting force from somewhere, going to somewhere, reaching the point where small things would start to become very, very important. Little ignorances, small sillinesses, a loose bolt, a dropped mitten could cripple, could kill. At the end of the depression, the trail moved out into partial open, still slight around the side of the mountain, but where there could be no shelter, and anybody except a complete idiot would know the seriousness of the wind, the storm. But I hunkered with my back to it all, my head thunking away, staring down at the runner next to me, while I stood on the other sideways, wished to hell I had taken time to make the headband longer, for another mile, then another, then another. 7, 8 miles out into the snowfields above timberline, away from shelter, away from heat and comfort, away from rest, and into madness. I had turned 3/4 away from the wind, not just back to it, but looking to the rear down the trail, half bemused that our tracks were blowing and filling before the sled had gone 8 feet, which was about as far as I could see in the blowing snow and wind. Here some survival code kicked in, some nudge in my thoughts that if the tracks were filling that fast, the wind must be getting worse. Right then Dewberry took the team out around the side of the mountain,